You know something, chat? I feel quite thoroughly stupid. Look here, look at this medical report. Substitute physician nurse Catherine Winters, Nathaniel Montclair. Case occurred 7/18/19. 19. 19. This case is set in 2019. The first Ace Attorney game was set in 2016. The real Mia Fey's been dead for 3 years at this point. Of course the person we're playing as is an imposter. This has been staring us right in the face this whole time, and I just didn't pick up on it. That's a real good sign for me and my abilities. Anyway, hello everybody. My name is Mitsuda Midoi. I am a forensic scientist from the world of mysteries, and today we are finally returning to the Torrential Turnabouts. When last we left our intrepid imposter attorney, we had finally managed to get Catherine Winters, one of the nurses at Jameson Memorial, our crime scene. The one who discovered the body. Well, one of the bodies. There's like 3 in this case, but the one who, died. Or rather, the one who was found next to the murder weapon. Not our defendant. He was thrown off the roof. You know, that thing murder culprits that it's always wind up doing. Anyway, that naturally makes her the most suspicious person, so after intensive argumentation, we managed to finally stall this stubborn prosecutor long enough to get her on the stand. What will she say? Well, obviously she won't say she did it, which honestly I believe is true. So if that's the case, why is the prosecutor so determined to keep her off the stand? We're not taking this case because we want to defend our defendant. We are imposter defense attorneys who have some deeply personal reason, we aren't being told, to want to solve the murder. But our prosecutor is also an imposter. Fortunately, we have an incredibly naive judge who has very poor court control, so we can basically just slug it out as much as we want. There's a lot about this case we don't know, including how it connects to the mysterious Red Room death game that was held in the past. So, let's see if we can't crack this one open. Why don't we? Witness, recount the events of that evening in their entirety, if you would please. It'd be my pleasure. Oh boy, actual progress. Alright, new witness, what do you have for me? Finally back to the case. Yeah, I know, right? Hello, Nana. It's nice of you to show up. Alright. What was the prosecutor so scared of you telling us? Everything in my first testimony is the truth. The defendant arrived at 11:30 and nothing happened until 12. At midnight, I got a notice on my pager that Nathan's thiamine drip had come loose. I left the defendant to check on him. When I got there, he wasn't in his bed. I ran out of the room, and right into Dimitri. I filled him in, and then we split up to look for Nathan. We searched for nearly an hour before I thought to check the rooftop. We found the defendant a little later. Between the 2 of them and the flood, we were busy until dawn. It doesn't sound like it contains a lot of new information. But now, we're allowed to ask questions. It took long enough, but we finally have the whole picture. At least, as far as the nurses go. If I find a crack in this testimony, I stand a good chance of pulling this off. However... How are our audio levels, by the way? I know this game's audio soundtrack changes quite dramatically. Just from song to song, I'm kind of popping my eyes over on our bars every few minutes as best I can. There's also the matter of the photograph I found at her office yesterday. The photograph of Duck, one of the players of Sheol's room and board. What's the connection between these two? Sounds good to me. Alright. Without a doubt, Winters has a connection to Sheol's room and board. The problem is that I can't present that photo. Not yet, at least. I'm not supposed to know who this is, after all. On one hand, the photo was just sitting in the open. She wasn't even trying to hide her connection. It's entirely possible that Winters knows Doc. I mean, she has a picture of her in her office. But on the other, what are the odds that a relative of a player just so happens to work in the exact building where Sheol's room and board flares up again after 5 years of silence? The fact that Mia knows Doc as Doc is suggestive of something, I'm sure. Is she one of the other female players? She's wearing sunglasses and that pure white hair could very easily be a wig. Is she trying to hide her identity from someone here or from us players? Curiouser and curiouser yet. It's preposterous. There's no way that's just a coincidence. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, no matter what. And we're going to do that by pressing the ever-loving hell out of this testimony. Everything in my testimony is the truth. The defendant arrived at 11:30, nothing happened until 12. Yes, interesting. Tell me more. And you're certain the defendant didn't have anything with him? That's right. Mia, if you felt like harping on this point, then you should have called for further investigation. And the fact that you didn't tells us that you don't honestly consider it all that helpful to your case. So let's hurry it up then, You're quite mistaken, prosecutor. The defense is of the opinion that Wynn's initial testimony all but exonerates the defendant. However, you've done such a poor job of justifying and explaining the crime that now I have to take it upon myself to double-check and verify that the presented facts are true. After all, my client would surely not appreciate if his acquittal failed to stick due to negligence on my part. And believe me, I'd love to have ended the trial right then. But I'm not here to defend Graves. I'm here to find the truth. As opposed to most Ace Attorney protagonists who just kind of find the truth coincidentally along the way. Sitting between the couch cushions. And everything to check between the couch cushions. And if finding the truth means doing things the hard way, then so be it. What happened next, witness? Miss Faye, I'm beginning to suspect that you might be the biggest puzzle in this case. Alright. At midnight, Nathan's thiamine drip comes loose. That's probably true. That is around the time Montclair was summoned to the roof. Yeah, you see. Summoned Montclair to the roof at 12. How can you expand on that? Just to be clear, you're talking about Nathaniel Montclair, right? Yeah? He's always insisted on us calling him by his first name. Right. So these pagers... 2019 and you're still using a pager. Oh, they're not for notifications, they're networked to most devices in the hospital. They also help us keep track of the patient's medication and physio schedules. Is there any way to prove this page was sent when you say it was? The pager has an electronic history. We verified that this alert was sent out at 12. I see. Now, more importantly... Montclair's IV came loose. How did that happen? How did it happen? I mean... he must have removed it himself, right? Huh? What do you mean? From what I gather, Nathan was supposed to meet with someone at midnight, right? So when midnight rolled around, he just yanked out his IV so he could attend that meeting like Yami Bakura and that one filler arc from Yu-Gi-Oh! That was real creepy. Yeah, y'all see that episode? That was fucked up. I get it. The page was sent when Montclair left the roof. Yes, Mia, we already went over this. Do try to keep up. I did find it a little suspicious that Winters left the defendant at the exact time he needed to head up. I suppose that's cleared up now. Still... this is the most important part of Winters' testimony. If she hadn't gotten that page, Graves would never have had the opportunity to go to the roof. Does that mean there's a man on the inside at the hospital? We did find Nathan on the same building as the murder weapon, though I still maintain the murder weapon being shot at that upward angle would be a more difficult shot than Mr. Prosecutor's giving us credit for. I'm not sure what's happening here. There's only 2 named hospital workers other than Catherine Winters we've got to suspect. Although, it's a very big hospice. And if that information is all I needed, the person on the inside wouldn't necessarily need to be in there, though I would prefer if we could thread without accomplices. Accomplices always feel like cheating. The issue feels resolved, but I could ask for an additional statement if I wanted to. Why are you even considering this? Nurse Winters, would you add that part about Montclair removing his IV to your testimony? Huh? Oh, sure. Is that important? It may be. And it doesn't hurt to be thorough. Well, alright then. That must have been when he left for the rooftop. I imagine he removed the IV himself. How plausible is that theory, though? Wouldn't it be difficult for a patient to remove their own IV? What? No, you just rip the tape off and pull it out. If you're in a hurry, you don't even need to rip the tape off if you're strong enough. Of course, that'd probably hurt like the dickens. Or at the very least, the Poe. Oh. I'd like to ask an actual question, seeing as though the defense is unable. What was the defendant doing while all this was happening? Absolutely nothing. I think he was playing a game on his phone when I left. Hey. You got games on your phone? I believe we talked about this a little earlier, but did you say anything to him about the page? Not specifically, no. All I said about it was that I was stepping away and would be right back. And after that... I allowed the defendant to check on him, but when I got there, he wasn't in his bed. How long did it take you to get to Montclair's room? 2-3 minutes, most. When I received the notice, I dropped what I was doing and called the elevator. If I recall, his room is the very last one on the top floor, correct? That's always a pretty long. Do you think it was possible for him to reach the roof in that time? Nathan is in care because he has the Kashiburgazi syndrome. Hey, I actually got it that time. I'm learning. In case you didn't know, that's a mental illness, not a physical one. Oh no, thank you for the prime resub. If you want to give me free money, I'm not gonna complain. I wasn't looking at the screen. Did the subscribe notification go off? I am very quiet. And very boring. I should maybe consider changing it. Honestly, Nathan could probably sprint that hallway in 20 seconds if you want. Yeah, it did. Okay. Okay. 20 seconds? How fast do you think this guy is? He starts his days off by doing 100 push-ups, followed by 100 sit-ups, followed by a 10-kilometer run. That's why he's bald. And I realize how ridiculous that sounds for a man in his 50s, but that's seriously his routine. A strong body makes a strong mind, he always says. I don't have the heart to tell him otherwise. What did you do after you saw Montclair was missing, witness? I ran out of the room and ran into Dimitri. I filled him in, then we split up to look for Nathan. Why was Nurse Volkov there? Every nurse has a patron. I assume he was there for the same reason I was. And that sounds logical, but we all know what happens when you assume. And you say the two of you split up. How did you divide the building? I took the top 3 floors, and Dimitri took the bottom 3. How thoroughly did the two of you comb the building? Well, I can't speak for Dimitri, but I checked every room. There really isn't anywhere to hide. Facilities like ours aren't typically full of nooks and crannies. He must have gone straight to the roof, where you found him much later. Your medical report doesn't say anything about when the attack took place, does it? Yeah, no, time unknown. Hello, Tomei. Prolonged exposure to the elements. Oh, he probably did go up there pretty early. How you doing today? Dry, flaky, kinda achy. But life goes on. Yeah, right. Yes, that's what I said. We searched for nearly an hour before I thought to check the rooftop. Thank you for Hydrate Redeem, Nana. Sorry. Took you an hour to search 3 floors? Oh, no, not at all. I spent maybe 30 minutes searching before the flood hit. Dimitri and I tried to stop the water from coming in for a little while, but it was pointless. So the flood blew the doors open and rendered the first floor, presumably of both buildings, uninhabitable. Interesting. But we've got a body. We've already got a body. We're inside the courtroom. We're arguing over like 3 injuries right now. But also sleep well. But yes, there is an employee-only door on the 2nd floor, so that could mean damn near anything, depending on how well the culprit was able to get their hands on keycard. Interesting. We also brought the card I was loading earlier upstairs. Oh. And we searched the executive wing together. I mean, last time we played this game was like 2 weeks ago. The bodies were unwinding off fresh stuff. Hey, they put it in the fridge in the morgue. Right next to my sandwiches, which means I'm probably gonna go without lunch today. Oh boy. But not the roof, right? No, not the roof. Actually, doesn't the pedway to the executive wing require an employee keycard? Why bother searching there? Desperation. Despair. No, not bitterness. Despair. And Nathan is definitely one of our rowdier patients. Not just lose track of him like that. When we didn't find him in the patient wing, we didn't know what else to do. Don't starve at work. I won't. People can survive like 3 days without food. No, it's 3 days without water. 3 weeks without food. It's not good for you, but you can do it. So we thought, might as well. What the hell? Got nothing to lose. Also, while you ended up checking the patient wing roof. Yeah, basically. We usually keep the roof locked, so I didn't think to check it immediately. Why was that door unlocked again? Construction. It was kept unlocked because of access. We kept telling those guys to lock up. They're done for the day. I don't imagine they'll get out of this OSHA violation unscathed. So the door to the roof was unlocked largely by happenstance. Coincidence or not, the door was unlocked. In this meeting that Shield put together. We don't know when. How long was that construction going on, did they say? Because a lot of what's happened here today has been dependent on that construction. Depending on how long in advance we had before this letter was sent, that could tell us something about when or who the culprit is if they knew about this construction. The hospital's looking more and more suspicious. More importantly, how can a person last without cake? 15 minutes. It is delicious cake, you must eat it. That was why Shell got fucked up so bad at the end of Portal 1. It's because she didn't have her cake. This meeting that Shield put together. It feels less and less thought out the more I dig into it. I'm beginning to think. The only reason we think Shield was the person who arranged this meeting is because they used the voice changer. But that's not decisive evidence at all. Actually, while we're on the topic, why did you check the other rooftop 6 hours later? By that time, things had started to settle down for Dimitri and I. We'd found Nathan and administered first aid. Ears, hello. Thank you for the raid. We're playing Ace Attorney fan games. Ace Attorney fan games inspired by all sorts of stuff from the 2000s. This is the Torrential Turnabout. Hello Ears, hello Herax. How it goes? It's going pretty well. Stream hasn't crashed since we started, which is really all I ask. I love Ace Attorney. I do too. I'm glad. So to review the case for those of you just coming in, our defendant is actually in the hospital right now because the murder took place on the roof of this 2-building hospice. And after the murder took place, or possibly beforehand, we don't know, our defendant did in fact fall off of this 6-story roof in these hurricane floodwaters. I have the trilogy on Steam, but I haven't played it yet. Got it for free with Humble Bundle. Yeah, I do really like the trilogy remake. It's nice having something with big upscale graphics that you could stream on an HD monitor, theoretically speaking. Anyway, our prosecutor's claim is that the defendant shot our defendant, a police detective, up at an upward angle onto this roof on the executive wing, and then jumped. It strikes me as fairly unlikely on multiple fronts, but we do have to ask the question, what did happen here today? We're currently cross-examining... Excuse me. We're currently cross-examining one of the nurses working at the hospice about when she found the bodies. Also, one other little, very interesting detail that's happening here right now. We'd recovered your client from the flood outside and stabilized him. And it was still raining, but the flood had receded and we could go downstairs again. Everything that was right in front of us had been taken care of. Once we had a moment's rest, we started asking why. Our defense attorney is in fact not a defense attorney. This mysterious Mia Fey imposter took this case because she has some deeply personal reason to want this case solved correctly. Incidentally, our prosecutor is also an imposter. His entire case is an absolute clusterfuck, and I love it. And that led you to the executive wing rooftop. Yes, it was basically just another long shot, but lo and behold, that all checks out, I think. Please continue, witness. We found the defendant a little later. Between two of them and the flood, we were busy until dawn. Busy with what, mayhaps? And how busy? Where could the culprit have gone while you were busy? Can you describe how you found the defendant? I'm pretty sure I looked out the window and said, "Holy shit, there's someone out there." Oh. Yeah, but how did you manage to retrieve his unconscious body? As I understand it, the door was locked, and the first floor was completely flooded. Well... Dimitri said he was going to swim out to him. He made me give him the front door key. He swam out into the hurricane? I'm more interested in that key. You had it, then you handed it to Dimitri. After the murder. We're assuming. I don't believe you checked the other building yet. She is a unit, an absolute unit. A unit of... but the question is, a unit of weight, distance, or time? He did say something about having an Olympic-level butterfly stroke. But I think he's just trying to reassure me. Well, either way, that's no small feat. Actually, I'm more curious about the part where you said you gave Nurse Volkov the front door key. Yes, thank you. My god, a competent protagonist, I love this. There's nothing suspicious there. He came right back. He even returned the key to me. He returned something you thought was the key. I shouldn't go down this road. I don't have any evidence of this quite yet. Plus, I'm not sure what it even means at this point. I don't suppose you know if he locked the door on his way back in, do you? Actually, according to the man himself, the flood knocked one of the doors off its hinges. So we never needed the key in the first place. Yeah, that's the implication I got. So what does having the key even matter at this point? But that's all besides the point. There's no way anyone could have escaped during the flood. And what if they swam like Volkov? Then they swam through miles of ice-cold floodwater in the dark. Yeah, okay, it's not very likely anyone left during the flood. So, we finally have the full story. You'd think it'd have been easy to get to this point, but no. It may have evidence now, but it's still inconclusive. Right now, my theory of Winters being the killer is equally as likely as the prosecution's theory, since all of his evidence is just as inconclusive. I need to find something in this testimony that either discredits his logic or supports mine. But there probably isn't anything directly contradictory here either. Oh boy. I should try thinking of her story as being part of a bigger picture. I need to consider everything that happened that night and look at how Winter's story fits in. Thankfully, we do have this timeline. 5 days before the murder occurred, Monte received the phone call that was presumably made by the defendant. 5 days. Do we have anything in the court record that communicates how long construction has been ongoing for? Letter to the victim. Everyone is guilty. That seems unlikely. I'll be on the roof of Jameson Memorial. This isn't dated, and it doesn't mention the construction. Can't find me, advise you to quickly, you know how it is, can't tell you much. 15 life sentences for loitering. Heart failure by Trustful. Alright. Underarm concealed holster, his house key, his cell phone. The rest of everyone, it'll all work out. I mean, not for the innocent people we find. Yeah, 10:45. Yeah, the pipes are just kind of there. That doesn't really tell me anything. Friend of mine. Serious not life-threatening head injury. Alright, the victim. Jameson Memorial or Hitman. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Presiding judge. We have no evidence of when the construction started, and I don't remember. This could be an angle, but I'd like something a bit more definitive. If only for the sake of gameplay balance. Detective Bishop received a letter. We're not sure when, but... Graves arrives at the hospital at 11:30. Step away from reception until midnight. Nurse has to step away due to flaming drip, leaving the defendant alone. Defendant goes to the rooftop, followed shortly after by Montclair. Yeah, that is a contradiction. I'm not sure if it means anything, and I'm not sure if it's the 1 hour. game developer intends for us to take. Defending the rooftop, followed after by Montclair. On the roof, Graves attacks Montclair with the steel pipe, killing him. Around the same time, Bishop entered the hospice from the adjacent wing. We know this because a security camera above the doors recorded a record of activating once for 3 minutes at 12:11 a.m. Though the footage was wrecked, was this after the we made it like an entire hour, that's progress. Not enough progress to spare my internet service provider the wrath I'm absolutely going to render on them after this, but you know, progress. Anyway. Yeah, there's like 5 billion different series of events to keep in mind, and I don't have actual records of when most of them took place. Right, the storm hit at 10:45, but we know it didn't flood before then. 11:51, a rolling blackout hit the city. At 12:11. You know what? This is boring. I'm gonna try to hit this timeline contradiction. There's 3 sentences I see here that could be when I need to present, but... Okay, so clearly something's strange here. Thank you for 5 bits. Wow, 5 whole cents, and Twitch is going to take... 70% cut of them, oh boy. Thank you, I do appreciate it. Okay, so clearly something's strange here. According to their timeline, Graves got to the rooftop before Montclair. Finally, to the video clip. Yeah, we did it. Major manga children. But if Graves was only able to head to the roof after Montclair had left to do the same... the opposite is true. Montclair was first on the roof. But is Montclair being first on the scene change anything? I'm on the right track, I just need more specific evidence. Okay. Montclair arrived first on the roof. Then there is the issue of that... Montclair probably would have been closer to the steel pipe. There we go. See, writing down timelines is very useful for solving mysteries. Winters, I must thank you for agreeing to come testify for us. Because within your words is a grave contradiction in the prosecution's logic. What? My case? No. Okay, but seriously, Mia, feel free to dial the drama back a bit. That's actually illegal, Edgeworth. You can't be an undramatic defense attorney. That's just not done. What pointless tirade do you want to drag us on now? Consider the witness's testimony. Oh, my internet went out, I must go have a good rest of stream. Okay, thank you, ears. Have a nice rest of your day. She was prompted to leave by Montclair removing his IV, yes? Ergo, the defendant was only able to go to the rooftop after Montclair had left to do the same. In other words, Montclair was the first person to arrive on the roof. And it's impossible for my client to have committed the crime if he wasn't the first one on the roof. Assume Montclair arrived first, something in this scenario doesn't make sense. The thing I presented earlier, I'm not sure why you made that a multiple choice option. Obviously, I'm talking about the steel pipes. Before the culprit could do anything about Bishop, they'd first need to take care of Montclair. And to do that, we know they used the steel pipe. But those pipes are on the far side of the roof. Way off on the opposite side of the defendant of the building from the door. If Montclair got there before the killer, he'd be blocking their path to the weapon. Not only that, but the nature of this assault suggests a sneak attack. Obviously, this could not have occurred if Montclair beat Graves to the roof. Blunt force trauma to the back of his skull. Please stop yelling at me. Really? This is what we're doing now. You know, sarcastic put-downs are not a counter-argument, my good sir. There are 101 explanations for this. Shall I enlighten you? You can certainly try.
Iruthy boy?
You didn't think I'd get this far, did you, Edgeworth? Unfortunately for you, this is where I take control of the trial. This time, I won't fail. Good lord, this music is loud. Can you still hear me? Chat? Chat, are you, I've used that one before. Yeah, it's super fucked. I love it. I can hear you. Well, I can't hear myself, thank good lord. This time, I will find the truth. Oh god, what's happening? What? Pretty over the top, don't you think? And turn it down into what, and let the game win? I don't think so. Pretty over the top, don't you think? You seriously think you're going to turn things around with this? You're going to shine a floodlight in my eye so I can't focus, as that's what's happening here. Come on. You can't possibly pull this off. Oh? And who are you trying to convince, prosecutor? Because I think this is going to end very badly for you. There are new but relatively straightforward gameplay mechanics ahead. Do you want an explanation? I have to know. Counter all of Edgy's theories. 4 answers, 6 seconds. 3 freebies, have fun. Okay, but like actually. I guess we're playing Danganronpa after all. Man, I wanted to do my entire career without ever doing this. Basically, you're gonna get hit with a bunch of theories in a row which you need to discredit. They're a little easier than normal, I hope. There are only 4 possible answers. However, after the theory is imposed, you'll get only 6 seconds to counter it. Because as we all know, time limits inherently make gameplay mechanics better. To make things a little easier, you get 3 free mistakes before you start losing health points. Winning is as simple as getting through all the questions without getting a game over. Got it? Yep. You've finished beating around the bush. Dog, how can you even hear my tutorials? It's not fair. Because I'd like to deliver your crushing defeat in a timely manner, if at all possible. Okay, now who's being dramatic? Just breathe. I won't have a lot of time to think things through. For some reason. So I should make sure I'm familiar with the relevant evidence and individuals. Alright. Our victim went off the roof. Given that he's been comatose since the crime occurred, he's probably not relevant after the case, but it's important to note that he has fucked up his arm and lost an eye. Both on his right side. Prior to the case, he arrived via the front door. He wasn't carrying anything, but that's not proof he isn't our culprit, because he could have gone back outside and nabbed the crossbow after Nurse Winters left him. Montclair was banged in the back of the head with a steel pipe after pulling out his own IV, we're assuming, and going upstairs. In response to a letter he received 5 days ago. You know, if I'm right about Montclair being a survivor of S.H.I.E.L.D. room and board, that would explain why he has such trouble with alcoholism. Probably got a lot he wants to forget now that we know not everyone survived that game. He was prolonged exposure to the elements, so he was probably lying out there for a while. Yeah, the storm arrived at 10:45. The rolling blackout hit the city at 11:51. That could mean something for the security footage. We know there was a security camera. Alright, the victim was shot in the chest, straight through the heart with a crossbow between 12 and 1. Did not die instantly, but he was paralyzed from the moment he got hit. He was found carrying his wallet containing his ID and $23 US, his police-issue Glock in a holder. No traces of actual use, though. His house key, his cell phone, which was destroyed by the crossbow, an old lock-picking kit, a spool of fishing line and a hook. That is really sticking in my craw. And a lighter and some smokes. The letter, we don't know when this was sent, but it was signed by Cosmonaut. Now, the crossbow itself had a thermal scope. There are no traces on it. It was left in a torrential downpour, so that's not really a surprise. Alright. 5 days ago, this call was posted. Call used S.H.I.E.L.D.'s unique modulation. Told Montclair to arrive at the roof at 12 midnight 5 days later. Pipe we just went over, the timeline we just went over. Graves, Towers, no one related to this case, neither is Diego. Montclair we went over. McLean is the detective. Bishop is a detective. They could know each other, but we don't really have anything on them at this point. Winters is probably our best bet if we need to accuse someone other than the defendant, since she did take up her floors. Volkov is the one who recovered the body. The other detective on the scene we haven't seen yet. Shield is the biggest unknown here. Well, let's go. Here goes. If Montclair got to the roof first, Graves couldn't have gotten to the steel pipe. Ball's in your court, Edgeworth. Yes, I suppose it is. Ready? Oh man, those After Effects. You say it's impossible for Graves to have gotten to the pipe because Montclair was in his way. Obviously, you get this idea from looking at the diagram of the roof. Yes, that diagram, thank you. This is how you think the scene was set, right? But that's not necessarily true. Montclair was found in the middle of the rooftop, but that doesn't mean he was always there. Couldn't they have been arranged like this? This way, Graves could easily lunge for the pipe. But if Montclair was here when he was hit, what was he found in the middle of the roof? Oh, that's easy. When Graves went for the pipe, Montclair caught on to what he was doing and ran. He got to the center when the defendant caught up and bashed his head in with the steel pipe. Montclair ran? Does that make sense? You talked near the pipes, and Graves struck Montclair as he was moving away? That's not it. Damn, I lost my focus. I just need to take a breath. Calm down, look over the evidence. I already hate this mechanic, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. In this weather? No. No mystery has ever been improved by the inclusion of a time limit for the player. That is a belief I will stand by until the day I die. Montclair was hit while running? I don't think so. God, now we're gonna have those fucking cracks staring at me this whole time. Look at the position of the blood splatter. Yeah, that thing I sure didn't have time to check. Oh, that's not a big deal. When Montclair started to run, that doesn't even make sense. If he was hit in the back of the head, then why would he have fallen away to begin with? Yeah, there's no signs of a struggle, old man. I'm not that stupid. There was a struggle during which Graves struck Montclair. No, there wasn't. May I remind you, Edgeworth, that Montclair was hit in the back of the skull. It'd be awfully difficult for him to hit that spot during the struggle. Yeah, sure, if he was only hit one time. What do you mean? Graves didn't have to use the pipe immediately. He first knocked Montclair unconscious using another method. Old-fashioned fisticuffs, maybe. Once he was out like a light, Graves would have had all the time in the world to bash his brains in. Does that make sense? No, for the same reason I was trying to argue earlier. Remember Montclair's physical exam, Edgeworth? Right here, at the bottom. No other marks or injuries. Check. Buddy, you okay? Okay. Hey, you got me. I jumped the gun a bit on that one. Just give me a moment. Alright. Got a second to breathe. Maybe I should take this opportunity to review the evidence. Sorry about that. I should have taken a second to think things through. It's weird that you didn't. Now I see a much simpler explanation for all this. Montclair and the defendant know each other, right? Once Montclair recognized Graves, he probably let his guard down. They probably started talking, and at some point Graves was able to sucker punch him. Montclair recognized Graves and let his guard down. Is there a problem with that? It's really dark. Do you recall what the detective told us about the rooftop? He specifically mentioned that the room has no lights and it's very dark at night. So how exactly did Montclair recognize my client even if he couldn't see him? There are no lights, huh? Wonder about that. See that thing by the door? It's a generator. Attached to that is a floodlight. I figured you were about to pull that. Yep. It even has a small indicator lamp to help find it in the dark. All Montclair had to do was turn this light on and he couldn't see the defendant up. Sorry, Nana can't look at chat. Text auto-scrolling. Music is so tense. Yeah, the blackouts. Damn, I lost my focus. Music is so tense. Yeah, like, that was the thing you got in, like, all, like, early 2000s to mid-2000s mystery games. They were all very flashy for some reason. All Montclair had to do was turn this light on and he could have seen the defendant, no problem. That seems entirely too convenient. That can't possibly be what happened. Think. Is there any reason that Montclair wouldn't use the floodlights? I highly doubt Montclair elected to use that floodlight. How would you possibly know that? It was dark. There was a light. Why wouldn't he have used it? Think about the way the floodlight is positioned. The light would have shone right in Montclair's face. He wouldn't have been able to see anything. He could have just moved the light, you know? Then who moved it to where it is now? The defendant certainly had no reason to do so. Maybe. Maybe not. Or maybe he was the one who turned it on at Montclair. Graves used the floodlight to blind Montclair and rushed to the pipe. A foolproof plan, no? No. Would Montclair have said that? Graves would never have turned that light on, and this is why. Damn it. I was gonna say because it would give his position away to the person he was aiming at. But you know, we have a bajillion fucking faceless people in our defense, in our court records, so you know. Graves used the floodlight to blind Montclair for the pipe. Yep. Totally naturalistic dialogue looping. I don't remember what half this shit is. Yeah, no, that is exactly what I was trying to argue. Come on, come on. You can auto-scroll, at least auto-scroll properly. Up the timeline, somehow that's... Alright, the timeline, because that's when he was supposed to arrive. You are asking me to make a lot of logical leaps between what I'm presenting and what I'm actually arguing, game. Because he couldn't risk Bishop noticing what was happening on the other rooftop. You know, that thing I was trying to convey earlier, you worthless... Bleh. I hate Danganronpa and I hate anything that takes inspiration from it. Yeah, you went wrong, but I still doubt the risk was worth it. There's nothing he could have done to stop Bishop from arriving early. And if he tipped his target off, then all his scheming would have been for nothing. Actually, if we consider the arrangement between the three persons of interest, your logic is inherently flawed. What are you talking about? Montclair recognized Graves and let his guard down. That would never have happened because... they did over the phone with a voice changer. Remember the call Montclair got, Edgeworth? Montclair would never have let his guard down for a second because no matter who Montclair met with on that roof, he would have thought they were Sheol. Okay, well how about this? Graves used the crossbow to threaten Montclair. That's how he was able to make the pipe and get Montclair to act in his best interest. So he threatened Montclair with the bow, then put it down and picked up a way crappier weapon. Could have made him jump off the building or something, that should have been so much easier. Or he could have just shot him, like anyone would have. Why, Edgeworth, you look a bit lost. Oh, but don't worry, I'll help you out. None of your arguments are making sense because... None of these things make sense. Montclair arrived first. They never met at all. Because they never met at all, of course. I've been saying this since the beginning. Winters used sedatives to drug both of them. The whole thing was a setup. You're a stubborn one, eh? I think I've established that my client could not have been the one to attack Nathaniel Montclair. It means our only remaining theory is mine. How about it, Edgeworth? Ready to concede yet? Don't get cocky. This isn't over yet. Well, I'll give credit where it's due. You've given us quite a show so far, Mia. But you must know that nothing you've proven here is concrete. I admit things probably didn't play out as smoothly as I would have liked them to. But that doesn't mean it couldn't still have happened. And you still have a long ways to go to prove one's guilt. Motive to kill Bishop, a substantiated connection at NX0, actual evidence. So good job, but I'm not scared yet. Not scared yet, huh? That's alright, because I'm not finished yet. This entire trial hasn't gone like I thought it would, and I think I've figured out why that is. A crucial piece of the puzzle has been missing this whole time, and Edgeworth knows it. Logically speaking, shouldn't this piece of evidence be more useful than it has been? Nope. I mean, nothing here has been useful at all to either of us. That's the whole reason we're having this specific conversation. Now the timeline. It's either the crossbow, which we know nothing about, or the defendant, or the victim. That's Nathaniel. They expect me to just know that off the top of my head, even though it looks nothing like anyone. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you don't know anything. Sheesh. I need to kick a guy while he's down. No, I mean, you literally don't know what happened. But why? Someone was on that roof and survived. They would know what happened. You know, we could have presented that literally as soon as he said he wasn't presenting Montclair as a witness, and this entire worthless, miserable minigame could have just not happened. And yet you don't know, and you haven't even suggested that he be brought in to testify. So I can only conclude that Montclair has no memories from that night. Why would he have no memory? That's strange, isn't it? There is one explanation I can think of, though. And that is that Montclair was sedated. I didn't know he went to the rooftop at all. Or the brain damage, that's also an option. Checkmate. I really think you're overselling just how damning this is. Are you joking? You're calling me ignorant? Mia. Montclair has Da Costa Bergazzi syndrome. You have no idea what that is, do you? And I know, yes, it's because he's an alcoholic. I've read the report too. He has short-term memory loss, you dumbass. What? Excessive drinking leads to brain damage, which leads to an inability to form long-term memories. Not to mention his pretty serious concussion. Do you really think I'd bring that guy to the witness stand? Yeah. When you say it out loud like that, it is fairly self-explanatory. Yeah, you're really bad at this. No flippin' wonder he hasn't told us anything. He doesn't even know where he is most of the time. He knows nothing about this case. Nothing. Nothing? Has he really forgotten everything about the incident? That's... Is this really a dead end? No. No, it isn't. Nice try, Edgeworth, but I'm not buying it. You're not, but you think I'm lying about this guy's medical condition. He lives in care, for crying out loud. I'm not denying that Montclair has memory problems. That being said, I think he knows a lot more than you're letting on. Recall that Montclair received a phone call a number of days ago. And how did the police know any details about this call? If I recall, you yourself told us the answer, prosecutor. Nathaniel Montclair told you. Dramatically puts on her glasses so she can dramatically whip them back off again. Damn it. So you admit it then. Montclair has knowledge of the crime, and that you just fucking lied about the evidence on the stand in front of the judge? That is a very misleading way of saying it, but sure. It kind of depends on how and when you ask him. So why has he not been brought to the stand already? Because nothing that comes out of the guy's mouth is reliable or even consistent. He's not exactly witness material, you know? Even so, the defense requests that Nathaniel Montclair be brought in to testify. Yeah, alright. Don't need to show it. It's fun, though. I mean, I can't blame you. Wait, really? You aren't going to fight me tooth and nail? In fact, I look forward to watching you try to glean anything from his testimony. I'll need a pretty long recess in order to get him here, though. Is this something we should reconvene for at a later date? I say we just get this over with. I can have him here at 90 minutes tops. The defense has no objections. Very well then. Witness, do you have any objections to this? And then Mia fucking died. Second time this trial, too. Do you have some sort of terminal disease? Is that why you're so insistent on us needing to to close this case yourself. I would like to avoid making any theories involving supernatural goings on. I know like half the cases, half the games that Acid Rain has cited as inspiration for this involve supernatural goings on. But we are 3 chapters in and they haven't brought it up, and as far as I'm concerned, that would make it cheating. I've never been behind anything in my life. I'm not owned. I'm not owned at all. Okay, someone borrowing something from someone. Boy, this is so useful. I'm sure it'll make perfect sense in 10 chapters. When they decide to just point blank tell us what it is. Ah, Jesus Christ, that's finally over. You know, I was really enjoying that right up until they got to the point where they, dropped that miserable Danganronpa knockoff game on us. I hate any mystery game that has any sort of, like, limitations on what you can investigate. Like, I hate time limits, I hate, like, health meters. Like, there's this Detective Conan license game for the GBA that had a really strict, like, not a time limit, but a move limit. Like, every time you questioned somebody, you lost time units. Every time you investigated a room for evidence, you lost time limits. And it sucked so bad because if you didn't already know the solution, you basically just had to guess, and if you got it wrong, you game overed. Which is, completely antithetical to how the the genre is supposed to work, you know? You're supposed to investigate every possible angle and go to every route, go down every path, ensure that what you've. Have you ever played Detective Conan game on stream yet? No, I haven't. Most of the good Detective Conan games, the one I'm interested in, don't have fan translations. So that is a bit of an issue. And now that I know that you're actually a chat regular, I think I'd want to put it off a bit longer so I don't accidentally wind up spoiling anything for you, Nana. Anyway, when we woke up, we had a bottle of ketamine in our pocket. That, seems like an issue. Should maybe do something about that. It's a bottle of ketamine missing from the hospital supply of sedatives. Could my theory actually be the truth? It seems unlikely. And if that's the case, then what does it mean? I'm not good enough at Japanese where I can translate it for you. Okay, I was warned before I started playing this might be an issue. Hold on, let me just refresh the page and we can get this started. There we go. Everything's fine, don't worry. We're still underwater, though. Don't worry, I don't need to breathe. Okay, this is the Red Room chapter. Set up. Or maybe I missed the one misinterpreting things, I don't know. That's right. Where are those stupid sunglasses? Yeah, that's better. So do you have an eye disorder, or are you just suffering from a head injury? Or a hangover? Am I on the ground? Okay, I am not alright. I think I'll wait for the room to stop spinning before I try that again. Why is it not bright with the sunglasses, but super bright without them? I'm pretty sure she put the sunglasses on, Nana. I think that's the implication. Oh, what happened? I can't really remember. In fact, there's a lot that I can't really remember. There was the trial, and it looks normal with the sunglasses on. That's not normal. I mean, it being less bright when you have sunglasses on striking is pretty normal. I mean, would you prefer that they did the entire game done through a sunglasses filter? Sounds like it'd be completely miserable. First things first. I need to get up off the dang floor. Don't put your face down there, you don't know what it's been. Steady. There. Great. Now just don't go the defense's bench and you won't topple over. Flawless animation, 3 whole frames. Hold up. This is definitely the courtroom, but... who the heck are all these people? This extravagant lady, for example. Am I? I definitely don't know her. I recognize her all the same. Same with this easygoing man who's staying off by himself. How and when did these two get in here? More importantly, why are they here? I definitely don't recognize this douche. Nope, not at all. Obviously. Ah, crap, he noticed me. I'll pretend I didn't see him. What? What is that supposed to mean? I know what the hell is he doing. Man, I hate this guy. And those are this exasperated woman and this well-dressed gentleman. These two I definitely know. This woman is Catherine Winters and the man is... never mind. That's gone too. All that's left is... yo. What's up, kitten? Enjoy your nap? Can we not with the kitten shtick right now? I don't feel very cute or cuddly at the moment. In fact, I kind of feel like throwing up. Hey, don't push yourself. It'll run its course in a couple of minutes, so just stick it out, right? What will run its course exactly? Well... That's a good question. Whatever knocked us out, I guess. Knocked us out? How are you feeling otherwise? Confused, mostly. Having trouble remembering some things. I think. We talking like amnesia or what? I don't know. I guess? You won't have any problems? Nope. No one else has mentioned memory troubles either. Alright. How about that? What the hell is going on? Well, what parts do you remember? I remember yesterday. I remember the beginning of the trial up until Winters came to the stand. Just bits and pieces after that. The last thing I can remember was calling for Montclair's testimony. I'm pretty sure. Wow, you're actually pretty fucked right now, aren't you? Your bedside manner is seriously lacking. I'm much better at it than beside it, I'm told. It's now really the best time to be cracking jokes. Tell me, how can I make this psych experience more comfortable for you? Alright, but seriously now. All the doors are locked. So that's how it is, huh? Yeah. We're kinda trapped in this courtroom. Do I look adequately surprised? I don't know. Maybe throw in a little, yeah, you know how people do that. Okay, what's the situation? Specifically, I mean. I could tell you, but look at the judge's bench to do it. The judge's bench. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Now get out of here. You're a different game. You don't belong here. Go away. Yeah. Yeah, friendly neighborhood asshole mascot. In the flesh. Or plush. Whatever. It's a stuffed toy. Someone left it here. It seems harmless enough, but I don't think I need to tell you what it's meant to represent. Man, I can't believe our culprit is a nerd. On top of everything else. You have got to be kidding me. I hear ya. I know we were sorta expecting some chicanery going into this thing, but I didn't think anything would actually happen, you know? Okay, things are officially moving too fast. Alright, so our protagonist actually remembers a bit less than we do. also know about these missing sedatives, even though, considering what she's saying, Mia probably couldn't. How does that work? After that, I don't think I remember enough to know what pieces I'm missing. Someone knocked us out, huh? I don't remember how or when. Or why. The intent seems fairly clear. Also, how and why are these three here? None of this bodes well. I need more information. But first... what are things like for everyone else? Are we still up? Couldn't say. Our phones are gone. I mean, that seems fairly obvious if someone's going to be hosting a killing game. Of course they are. Well, it's not all bad. If whoever took him hasn't left the courthouse, then we should be a-okay. That reminds me. Here. Huh? It's yours. I swapped our badges while you were unconscious. Figured it'd be more in. Should we go over all that stuff we just glossed over for people who don't know what we're talking about? What? No kidding. I'm here for sex appeal, not exposition. Pity you aren't doing a very good job providing that either. Yo. Danganronpa if you don't know what's going on. Peace. Okay, speaking of Danganronpa, this fourth wall violating dialogue is definitely not fourth wall violating dialogue. We did change from seeing Mia in first person during chapter 2 during the investigation team, to seeing her in first person during this section. We are absolutely not playing as Mia anymore. We're probably playing as someone watching the live stream, since they did mention during trial that the previous Room and Board game was streamed to the internet. I've played far too many of these games to fall for such an elementary trick. Good enough. I suppose that does the trick. I don't know why we're listening to her in her monologue, but quite frankly, I have better shit to worry about. Anyway, so that's sort of the situation in a nutshell. All the doors are sealed, and everyone here was in some way knocked unconscious. Sounds like the two new faces over there got abducted from elsewhere. Nasty business. And no one's taken responsibility or given demands or anything yet. Nothing? Nothing at all? Not a word. In the meantime, we've all been sitting here waiting for something to happen. Waiting for something to happen? Whoever's running the show has probably been waiting for you to wake up. Am I the last one? You know, you could've, like, shook me awake or something. Yeah, we tried, kitten. You weren't having any of it. Honestly, I didn't realize how worried I was until now. Was I that out of it? Unfortunately, I don't think there's time for recuperation. I've got some witnesses to interview. Yeah? Well, good luck. Most of these sharks are basically completely untrustworthy. Us included, of course. Not much I can say to that. I'll be here if you need help remembering anything. Not like I'm going anywhere. Got it. Thanks. So... 7 people, seemingly trapped in a room. Not a short of the magic number, and I suppose you work with what you have. Monokuma, huh? It's a little forward for my tastes, but at least it gets my point across. I'll need to be thorough in my investigation. Hope I have enough time. I won't lie. I am excited to see what comes next. Maybe that's just my ego talking, since memory troubles aside, everything is going exactly as planned. All according to Keikaku. That translator's note, Keikaku means plan. Alright, where do we start? Wait, I'm waiting. Is me one of the bad guys? I doubt it. We are less than halfway through the chapter list. If she were, they wouldn't have given it away that easy. If she means according to plan, as in like, oh, you know, our plan to lure Sheol out into the open and capture them, or our plan to solve the murder even though the prosecutor and judge are both corrupt and in working to bury the truth or something like that. You know, working outside the system. Anyway, look at this bear. So ugly, I hate everything about him. Monokuma. It's not a face I expected to see today. It's converging. All of it. The Ace Attorneys and the Danganronpas. But you have almost the same color scheme, Monokuma. It's not a color scheme so much as it is an absence of color scheme, you know? I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity to do this again. We finish it here, or we lose. It's as simple as that, I think. Tonight, Kazutaka Kodaka will die. The stuffed toy. And I'm forgetting something. And not like more of this amnesia, but like something really obvious. What am I missing here? The judge isn't here. That seems important. Of course! Where did Harper go? Both witnesses, Edgeworth and myself, are all here, so where is she? What does that sound? It sounds like clapping, almost? Excellent deduction, detective. Oh god, it's you. Oh, just thought I'd interrupt your plot-critical thinking out loud. Some stuff that's actually important. Harper's here. What? Really? Where? I haven't seen her. She's where she always is. At the judge's bench. What? What, like, on the floor? She's unconscious, isn't she? Like, I was until recently. Yeah, Mia, they kinda already said that's not a thing. Think you might be underselling how bad it is. Yeah, good guess. But no, she's dead. You know, I can't say I'm that surprised. What? She's dead? Yep. That sure was the thing I just said. You're screwing with me. Regrettably, I am not. What? But how? I assume her heart stopped. You really don't have a respectful bone in your body, do you? Hey, it's Winters, just who I wanted to see. And for your information, when you deal with murders as often as I do, death becomes a little pedestrian. Maybe that's messed up, but it's all part of the job. I don't get the vibe he's talking in his fake persona as a prosecutor. Who are you, fake Edgeworth? Are you a professional detective? Are you... You're probably not Charlie Klein. I mean, it would have been difficult for you to masquerade as the prosecutor without meeting Detective McLean. Oh, I don't think they said anything in the past that would have made it impossible. Nana, thank you for the stretch. And the hydrate promotes some blood flow. Are you like a professional, non-professional detective? Like a protagonist of a mystery story? This mystery is certainly meta enough I wouldn't put it past him. Curiouser and curiouser. Hey, Winters, this guy is just joking, right? He's messing around, isn't he? No, he isn't, unfortunately. She's passed away. I verified it myself. That's why everyone here is so on edge. And no one thought to tell me about it until now? Well, anyway, Mia. We let Winters examine the body. 'Cause, you know, medical license and all that. Would you be a dear and give Mia here the details? Try if your opponent isn't satisfied unless you're on a level playing field, right? I'm pretty sure the trial's over, Edgeworth. Is it? I wouldn't be so sure. Call it a gut feeling. I mean, there's evidence in the court record that we haven't used yet, so... Winters, sorry, but could you tell me what happened to Harper? I can tell you what I found. I'm a nurse, not a coroner. I can't say anything definitive. Even so, I think you'll find the culprit to be pretty obvious. You said she was murdered. Is that real true? Wouldn't it be more like manslaughter? Legally, the whole kidnapping thing kinda blurs the line. But me and I happen to be murder specialists, so let's just say it was murder. Keep things copacetic. Now, Winters, if you'd please. Right. I can't tell what the exact cause of death was, but I can narrow it down to two likely possibilities. Overdose or anaphylactic shock. Overdose of ketamine, perhaps? Or maybe whatever was in that smoke grenade that knocked us all unconscious. What? Anaphylactic shock, like what happens when someone has a severe allergic reaction. Harper was injected with a drug. There's an obvious needle mark on her neck. Alright, so it wasn't an accident if that flashback with the smoke grenade was any indication. In addition, her throat is red and swollen. Clearly her body didn't take well to the injection. What was she drugged with? Ketamine. Ket is for horses, you dumb motherfucker. Name that ought to be pretty familiar by now. There was an empty bottle of the stuff found next to her body. No syringe though, and because we only have limited assets to work with, it's represented by pills, even though someone was injected by a needle. That name rings literally no bells. But... what? But... it was all you talked about for like 2 hours. Sorry. I've got nothing. Winters? Missing sedatives? McLean's investigations? Literally your entire case was riding on this non-existent bottle. Check your court record, I'm serious. Like I did actually make a note of it. I don't remember anything about it. Too bad you only got one new piece of evidence in 2 hours plus of investigation. That seems like a pretty bad... ketamine. Have you ever watched the SpongeBob fan video where the secret ingredient of the Krabby Patty is ketamine? I've watched a lot of SpongeBob SquarePants themed YouTube poops in my days, but I think that one passed me by. I know which one you're talking about, though. Yeah, okay, literally none of our other evidence has changed at all. How the hell did you pull this off, Mia? This is almost more impressive than if you'd actually, like, managed to accomplish literally nothing. Gotta show it to you sometime, it makes me laugh so much to this very day. Well, you know where to find me. Yep, literally no changes whatsoever. You know, damn, I was totally calling that Judge Harper was gonna be the main antagonist. So... a bottle of ketamine turned up missing at the hospital, and I said Winters used it for murder. And I guess you're saying that this is that missing bottle. You bet I am. I guess you can't now be now that she's dead. Yeah, shows what I know. Got Jameson Memorial content label stuck right on it. Everything checks out. Man, I've heard of doing content warnings for drugs, but this is the first time I've ever seen a drug with a content warning. Chat? Chat? Are you still there? And if it's here, that means Winters didn't steal and use it for anything duly murderous. That seems like quite a logical leap. Which means the chance of her being the culprit just plummeted back down to 0%. She could have prepared anesthetic of her own to bring to the hospice. Using the hospice's supply would make her, someone with access, look suspicious. I was reading something, I'm sorry, what did you joke about? I'm sorry, do you want my help or not? Which is what I would say if the trial was still on, which it isn't, so I'm not saying that. Sorry. Please continue. Where was I? Harper's neck and throat were inflamed. And that's basically it. She was clearly injected with the ketamine, and clearly something went wrong. So chances are she either had an allergic reaction to the drug, which is rare but very possible, or whoever injected her accidentally or purposely gave her too large a dose. You know, considering everyone else here is fine and dandy, I'm very unlikely to accept the theory that this was an accidental death. If it wasn't an accident, what was the point of injecting her to begin with? She had already been on a medication, then interacted badly with the ketamine. That's another possibility, but it doesn't answer the question I'm really concerned with. Though even if this was a deliberate murder, ketamine used as a murder weapon seems like a very unlikely choice. Unless the culprit specifically wanted to draw a connection between the murder taking place here and the hospice. Given this game's list of inspirations and how heinously complicated it's gotten already, it's probably safe to say our culprit is planning very far ahead and playing us all for fools. I don't appreciate being played for a fool at all, my good sir. Or madame. I'd say or non-binary, but there aren't any non-binary people in the court record, so that seems unlikely. Obviously, that would be our character. Our kidnapper. I've gotten away with not thinking too hard about them so far. About that. We don't have any idea who it was that locked us in here, right? None. We haven't heard so much as a peep from anybody. What do we know? The only thing that we know for sure is that they knocked us all out, as we were just discussing. Right. Ketamine. Well, yes and no. Maybe too generous of me to assume that you've noticed, but most of us weren't injected. We weren't? You don't remember that either? We got gassed. Some kind of grenade or bomb or whatnot. A bomb? Oh my god, JC, a bomb! I was right in the middle of the trial, too. Cocky asshole just opened the door and lobbed it in. You, me, Winters, Montclair, and your assistant all got caught in it. Jesus, how big was that grenade? This courtroom's huge. Gotta make space for the entire gallery. I called Montclair to the stand, right? Where were you there, Winters? Supervision mostly. Nathan needs some help staying on target most of the time. Makes sense. Wait, hold on. If we all got gassed during the trial, why was Judge Harper injected with an anesthetic? She would have already been affected by gas, right? Which supports what I said about this being an intentional homicide. Well, the judge's bench is elevated. There's also that. If we knew what gas this was, we could make a statement about how heavy it was. Would that have been enough? Normally it'd be hard to say it was high enough to make a difference, but considering that our captor made the effort to drug her, we can assume that she was likely out of reach of the gas. No, we goddamn can't. Stop making assumptions about people's deaths. You are a terrible prosecutor. Still, was it worth the risk of stealing drugs from a medical center? Probably. Our kidnapper seems to have used it on the two strangers over there, too. You know, those strangers. Those people that I am totally certain you don't know. I guess that also makes sense. I don't know if it'll be useful, but I'll make a note about Harper's body. But if I wanted to be thorough about it, I should probably check the body. Myself. What are you, squeamish? Squeamish about looking at dead bodies? Okay, you can do this. It's just a dead person. I think I'll take a look at Harper myself. Just real quick. Real quick, he says. I won't stop you, but you sure that's a good idea? Yep. And you'd better go with her. Make sure she doesn't hurl all over the corpse. Well, thank you for that delightful image. Well, that's like the present. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Yep. That's a corpse. We don't have the art budget to show it to you in the audience, but it's a corpse. And this was a bad idea. Well, satisfied. Not yet. I'm going to take a closer look. Fully. There's nothing particularly interesting in the person. But there is one thing that's odd. Winters, what's with this scar on her right hand? Yeah. I noticed that too. I have no idea what it might be from. It almost looks like she got stabbed right through her palm. Oh, I see our judge did have a life before this case began. How interesting. It looks like it was incredibly painful. And incredibly old. She must have had this scar for years. Maybe 5 years? Yeah. I'd imagine it's relevant to our situation. But I'll make note of it anyway. Couldn't hurt. Missing sedatives updated to Harper's body. Harper's throat is red and swollen. An empty bottle of ketamine was found next to her, and there is a needle mark on her neck signaling an injection. But no syringe. There is an old, painful-looking scar on her right palm. This was a nice scrapbook moment, I think. Ah, Lord. And I think that's a good place to stop this conversation. Oh, why aren't you two laughing? I realize how funny and charming I am. I really can't wait for those doors to be unlocked. For once, I agree with you. Well, that's one mystery solved. Unfortunately, all I know for sure now is that we are all in real danger. Real danger. Not that I would expect any less. Alright, who's next? We can look at ourselves, we can talk to Montclair, I am assuming that's him. Our nurse, our rival, we can go to the other side of the room. Talk to... man, it's been so long I'm already forgetting people's names. Diego... I think we should talk to Diego, get caught up on what happened before we went down, before we humiliate ourselves any further. Yo! Couldn't get enough of me, eh? The weirdest part is that As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, since our Mia is an imposter, this Diego should logically be an imposter too, though unlike Mia, he does look identical to himself. But he shouldn't be able to be here. This case is unnecessarily convoluted. Oh, you mean the briefcase? Yeah. Sorry. Just working on it. What are you trying to do with it? He's planning to hit someone over the head with it and kill them. Obligatory headband. No, 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 no! Ah, my eye! My eye! It's in my eye! Ah! 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 You've completely forgotten about it, haven't you? You're asking the wrong person, Diego. Memory thing isn't being as temporary as I thought it'd be. Fortunately for you, this kind, brilliant, debonair man has got your back. Alright, before anything else... Are you... flexing? Of course. Gotta get my fans a little service now and then. Your fans? Yeah, I've got a bunch. You realize what kind of people we are attracting here, right? And that attitude is why I have fans and you do not, kitten. Besides me, of course. Of course. So his body over there. Oh, found out about that, huh? No thanks to you. So, kitten. Didn't want to drop that on you so soon after you woke up. Consensus seems to be that it was our captor who done it. Yeah. I don't really see how it could have went down otherwise. Oh, took your sweet fucking time, didn't you, that time? Yeah, gee, thanks, OBS. It's not like you fucking disconnected and needed to reconnect or anything. No, no, take your time. We are all waiting on you. Fucking hell. Anyway, I would like to find something you don't have anything to say about, just so I can see if Acid cared enough to write any funny dialogue. Hopefully I'm done having to interpret these awful drawings. Oh, you're not, don't worry. Word. Word to your mama. Hey, I remember this. Was this the report that Winters handed us by accident? Yeah. It's 2 separate records of 2 separate medical examinations. Graves' exam in Nevada, and Montclair's exam by Winters, right? Right. Man, Graves got fucked up, huh? But I guess a 6-story fall into water does that to you. Like the weird defending a guy on death's doorstep kinda keeps falling to the wayside somehow. There's been a lot going on. No kidding. And on the other hand, we have Nathaniel Montclair. He's got my sympathies even without getting brained by that giant steel pipe. Honestly, I don't know how he walked out of that alive. Wesa Deporto. Wonder how this case would have gone if the city wasn't underwater. Would have been very different, to be sure. Graves would have died, for starters. The investigation would have had more hands, and there would be way more evidence. And I'm pretty sure the only way our current situation can exist is because the courthouse was empty. I just realized. What did you just realize, Nana? A once-in-a-lifetime case, huh? No kidding. Demetrius isn't here with us. But yeah, he wasn't in the courtroom. Man. Bishop was carrying some seriously suspicious shit. Lockpicking kit, spool of fishing line, concealed firearm. What the hell was this guy even at the hospice for? He was caught there with this letter, remember? No, I mean, what was he planning to do there? And why did it require a fishing line? Fishing line is quite frankly more suspicious than the gun, if you ask me. You don't pack this sort of stuff for a friendly chat. If I had to pick one thing that bothers me most about this case, it would probably be this letter. Why did only Bishop get a letter? Everyone else got a phone call. Also, why was Bishop supposed to be there for 12:30 when the other two were till 12? Something's up here. Well, the most logical explanation would be that the caller and the letter writer are two different people. Probably one of them was planning around the actions of the other, though which is which I can't yet say. Anyway, our murder weapon is still a crossbow, and that's still pretty whack. Pretty niche as far as murder weapons go. You gotta wonder why the killer settled on a crossbow instead of a firearm. Silence, maybe? The murder did take place on a building with more than 30 people inside. Kinda got screwed over by the storm then, didn't they? Well, so did everyone. Yep. The best laid plans of mice and men. The spark that lit the fire. So we don't actually have any idea who made these calls, right? Only that they exist. Yeah, sounds like Montclair was able to confirm at least that much. But I have no idea what the angle is here. We're missing too much information. I will be amazed if you have anything interesting to say about this pipe. Well, we want to get hit with that thing. As far as I'm concerned, this pipe still proves that Graves isn't the murderer. It doesn't make sense for the killer to use an improvised weapon. Edgeworth can shove it. God damn, this case is complicated. Honestly, I don't think it's really that complicated. The problem is that it's vague. There's just so much that we don't know. Why did Bishop go to the hospice? What did he do while he was there? Why did Graves kill Bishop? Why did Graves hit Montclair? We already talked about what theoretically happened on the patient wing roof that night. And that's all just off the top of my head. I could go on. I'd just say this case is over-convoluted. No, I think Mia's got it right. I doubt the actual solution when we find it is going to be all that complicated. It's just that we don't know who our alternative suspects are, what the motive was. Who went where when? Anyway, tell me about myself, since apparently I have amnesia now. How's the ensemble holding up? I don't exactly have anything here for touch-ups, so... we're good. As expected, Master. Okay, so you weren't just, like, wearing a wig. You probably went to, like, some sort of incredible specialist master of disguise. That's probably who that person you were with earlier was. Yeah, Mr. Evil Dead cutscene was probably eccentric enough to be a makeup specialist. There you go. Ayy. 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 Yeah. So this guy's super fucking dead, that's weird. I realize that we've slowly been learning more and more about this guy, but... it feels like we'll never get the full picture of Detective Kurt Bishop. I think I understand what you mean. It's like every answer we get just leads to a new question. Speaking of people who got seriously fucked up, I feel like it's weird that we don't even know what our client looks like. Is that weird? It's pretty weird. What do you think? Is this guy the culprit? I don't know. But it wouldn't be very interesting if he was. Speaking of people who got seriously fucked up, why don't you ask around a little more and then get back to me, okay? This guy left the courthouse to check for those missing sedatives, right? He's lucky he's not locked in here with the rest of us. So, exactly how confident are we that Winters is the culprit? We're not. But until I know what the deal is with that picture I found in her office, she's on the chopping block. Now, can you stop freaking out every time that happens? I can go back and edit VODs, but I can't edit out your chatting. And turned up zilch. That is the most suspicious outcome that you possibly could have found. Figures. What about Dimitri? Is he still here? Who is this again? Dmitry Volkov? The other nurse on shift the night of the crime? I'm pretty sure I've never met this guy. Didn't for sure, though. Might have just forgotten about it. If you met him, you would know. Good old Charlie Klein. I'd ask around a little more. Alright, so Charlie is definitely one of the other people here. Oh, Damara. Maybe all three of them. Here's Shield. Let's do this thing. No holding back. Yep, we're definitely planning, like, some sort of convoluted scheme to capture Shield and pin him down. That's what we're here for. And our greatest threat, I would imagine. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Probably the killer out of 10? Probably the killer out of 10. Is there anything to look at here? Doesn't look like it. Are there always this many doors in the courtroom? Am I just going nuts? Alright, tell me about the briefcase. Alright, so what's the deal with this briefcase? Mia, you really don't remember any of this. Nada. So, what's the deal? This briefcase belongs to Bishop. Or belonged to. And why do you have it? You told me to go get it. Huh? I did? Well, not quite so explicitly, but yeah. Basically how it went down was we were in a lobby during the first recess waiting for Winters. You were kinda shook after having almost blown the case more than once before the second testimony. I was cool as a cucumber though, like always. And you were all like, "Oh, Diego, you're so smart and handsome, won't you save me?" And I was like, "Okay." We talked it over and agreed that the biggest hole in our understanding was the victim. We didn't know why he was involved, what he wanted, or even what he did that night. No kidding. Feels like he didn't come up during the trial at all. But Bishop's home address was conveniently written in the autopsy report, so I went to investigate. Well, more like ransack than escape, but you get the picture. That's why I wasn't around to be your co-counsel after that. Are you gone? I'm having trouble remembering. But what kind of partnership is this? You don't even notice if I'm around or not? That hurts, kitten. No, not like that. I'm just pulling your leg. I ain't a lawyer, girl. I was flippin' useless as an aide. I'm much better in the field, I think. Right. So you, my dashing knight in shining armor, went to Bishop's apartment, and it was a surprisingly ratty place. Cheap-looking, full of junk. I turned the place upside down and found, well, nothing really. But by that point, I had already found a sizable lead. Bishop is a fairly retro sort of guy, apparently. He still has a landline phone and answering machine. When I got there, he had one unread message waiting for him. A missed phone call. Wait a minute. Now it's from FedEx. FedEx is in FedEx the courier service. Yep. The message said that they were temporarily suspending business because of the hurricane, and that the package he had sent would be delayed and available for pickup in the interim. Bishop had recently sent a package? Sure did. Long story short, I got my hands on the thing, and it turned out to be this briefcase. Of course, I ain't got it open yet, so who knows what's in it. Something from FedEx that we don't know what it is. If the deleted scene was any indication, it might be a jar of chili, but then again... Chili peppers, then again, if it was cut from the finished cut, it's not canon, is it? Wait, so... who was Bishop sending this briefcase to? Well, that's where the story gets real interesting. Kurt Bishop was sending this package to Kurt Bishop. He sent it to himself? What's the point of that? Keep it out of his home for a few days, just in case someone decides to ransack the place? Maybe he knew there was a chance he wouldn't come back alive? If he was as paranoid as we're told, it makes sense. Great question. Here's everything I was able to find out from the shipping label on the box. For one, the sender's and receiver's names were both Kurt Bishop, but the addresses were different. Bishop seems to have sent the package from his house to the LAPD precinct downtown. I think that supports what I just said. Precinct? We'll have delivered via courier then. 2. The package was sent on the morning of July 17th. The day of / before the murder. Yeah. Not only that, but the delivery date was specifically scheduled to be July 18th. So, let me get this straight. On the morning before the murder, Bishop arranges a delivery. Basically, he ships a briefcase full of who knows what to his desk at the precinct. And then he dies, and his delivery gets held up due to the hurricane. Yep. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Good luck. Okay, so first of all, how far away is Bishop's apartment from the precinct? Like 15 minutes at most. So there's no real reason for Bishop to have not simply delivered the briefcase there himself. And that time frame. Sent the day of the murder and delivered the day after. I think it's at least likely this has something to do with the murder, right? Timing is just too odd. In fact, it's so odd that I don't have a clue how this fits into the big picture. Well, once we get this open, I imagine it will either make perfect sense or instantly blow everything we think we know how to open. Not sure which of those options would make more sense at this point. Well, if you don't want to know what I think, I'm thinking it's some kind of dying message. Huh? Seriously? I mean, yeah, think about it. Bishop sends this thing off, and then what does he do? Immediately goes traipsing off into some sketchy-ass rendezvous. And officer or not, he was still sending this thing to the police. I think he suspected that something might happen to him and wanted to give his colleagues a head start. And if nothing happened, then he could have just received his package and none the wiser, yeah? That actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe, maybe not. Well, if you are right, that would imply that the contents are related to Bishop's death. Vital, even. We can't actually be certain of anything yet. Either way, I gotta unlock this stubborn bugger before it's any use to anybody. And how's that going? Basically the worst. Worried about damaging the contents if I just bust it open. So my only other course of action is to keep guessing on the 9-character passcode. No. No. Maybe, but unlikely. No, I got nothing. We need more to go off of. Yeah. It unlocks when you turn these 9 dials to the characters. 9 dials, 9 persons, 9 doors. Did you try 9999999? Do you seriously think that wasn't the first thing I tried? Nah. Does aren't the same. Most likely it's gonna be a random string of nonsense. Will not be correct? And let me finish being a social butterfly and give you a hand. Alright. Try to finish before I launch this uncooperative POS across the courtroom in a fit of frustration. No promises. I'll try my best. So, what's the sitch? How are you holding up? How do you mean? Just like in general. You got some semblance of your bearings yet, or what? I'm not sure. Kinda feels like I should be panicking more, but there's just so little to go off of. Yeah, I dig it. It's like... oh hey, my life's in peril, oh geez. So I guess I'll just sit on my ass and dick around with this briefcase. Right? Yeah. That was a pretty good summation, actually. Whoever's running the show here had better follow through, or I'm gonna conk the fuck out. Feels a little amateurish, doesn't it? Oh, there's a lot here that says this was not planned very thoroughly. I've been trying to figure out how this relates to Bishop's murder, but I'm not getting anywhere. It's been hard, what with so many pieces missing. Well, it's not like I'm all that busy. You can use me as a soundboard if you want. Go ahead. Present me anything in that court record of yours. I am way ahead of you, my good sir. Well, alright. I think I'll not do that. Goodbye. Alright. I'm gonna pull the trigger. Are you actually Montclair? I need to know this. I need to know I was right about anything thus far. Oh, awake at last, are we? There's like 3 people in this case I've given just sort of generic, deep, smooth baritones, and I'm not sure how I go about differentiating them now. Oh, awake at last, are we? A late start, but preferable to no start at all. Oh, yes? I know that I know this guy, but I can't seem to remember his name. I mean, such the fact that he's obviously Teddy. Okay, it's 2 people from Shield's game you know. Were you a player or a witness, or did you lose someone close to you? That's going to tamper with my theory quite a bit. Is something the matter? You look awfully pensive, young lady. It's nothing to worry about. I'm just trying to remember something. I'm afraid I can't relate. I've always prided myself on my impeccable memory. You're definitely Montclair. In any case, your recollections will certainly return with time, Blue. I would not tarry over it. Okay. Now we know. Hey, what'd you just call me? Blue? Are you talking about that girl from The Thing, or... Am I missing something here? Why would you call me that? Is that not the name we agreed upon? Does this guy actually think that I'm Blue? The heck? Oh, now we know she's not Blue. And there's a decent chance your brain doesn't work right. Sir, I'm not Blue. My name is Mia Fey. I'm Downgrave's legal representative. Oh? Is that so? My mistake then. Terribly sorry. Wait. I'm starting to... You're... Nathaniel Montclair, aren't you? What? See, I told you. See, I've been around the block. Oh god, I looked away from the timer for a moment. How long were we out? Did y'all miss the really important shit that we just went over? I'm going to actually hurt myself if we did. You fucking idiot, Mitsu. Jesus Christ. Okay, what do we know? What do we know? How far away? He's Nathaniel Montclair, alright, yes, the obvious bit. That's all I know. God, fucking, He thinks we're blue even though we were obviously not. That's the important bit. Which means that A, his memory has gone completely to shit, even worse than Edgeworth was trying to hide. And B... well, obviously that we're not blue, because she said that in her inner monologue. And C... there's a chance we're connected to blue somehow. Apparently we look like her. But really anything is still possible. The age listed here is a bit too old to be blue all grown up, I think. Maybe not, but either way, that's not really our age, that's Mia Fey's age, probably. So... will you all please stop being so quiet? This is the song that got me copyright struck last time. I need to go over this while we're talking. Well, anyway, as I was saying, the Electoral College is an inherently undemocratic institution, and... yeah, this is definitely Nathaniel Montclair. It almost has to be. Look at my badge. You know, I'm just gonna save myself the disappointment, okay? Yep. Finally in here. Do you at least remember that you got bonked on the head? Right, nope, okay. Like, they made him out to be this crusty old man, but if he's Ted, it makes sense why he's so fit and everything. They didn't say he was a crusty old man, they said he was an incredibly healthy, like, 50-something. I just figured it was Nathaniel because it had to be someone connected to... or rather, I figured he was Teddy because it had to be someone connected to... Shields been bored, and Montclair was the only guy rich enough to own an entire hospice. Is it just me, or does this courtroom look kinda... different? They're using a holographic projector on the walls to make us think that we're in a different room. I got it. No, it's definitely just my imagination, and I should drop this train of thought forever. Or it's a meta joke about the fact that we're using different courtroom backgrounds than the ones from Ace Attorney, because we're moving around now. Anyway, tell me about the trial. Or don't, because you don't remember anything. For some reason... whenever I use Montclair and testimony in the same thought, my whole body tenses up. But I can't remember actually cross-examining him. Mr. Montclair, do you remember the trial by chance? Blue. How would you learn that name? Ah, man. Hey. Just thought I'd pop it before we hear that entire conversation over again. Thank me later. And just when I was thinking this couldn't get any worse. Oh, haha. Good afternoon. I believe you've been introduced. No, we have been. Like 3 or 4 times. Is that so? And don't beat yourself up, champ. I've got a forgettable face. You might even call it unlocalized. No, you wouldn't. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I came over to help you cut to the chase, because, frankly, I don't think I could watch you fumble around with this dude for another hour. My hero. We took a long recess and brought Buddy here to the stand. It took some time to get the ball rolling, but eventually we got him to start testifying. It was basically the worst thing I've ever seen in a court of law. And I've played Dual Destinies, fuck you. It's a better game than any of the original trilogy. There, I said it. I said it and I'll damn well say it again if the need arises. What happened exactly? In a word, nothing. Not a single goddamn thing happened that was even a little bit important. Mia. None of us are getting those back. And this was the bit that the culprit chose to break in and interrupt. Is that a coincidence? They did say this didn't seem like a planned incident. Was the culprit upset we weren't making progress? Let me remind the two of you that Mr. Montclair has a mental disorder. That does not mean you get to disrespect him or treat him like an obstacle. Do I make myself clear? I mean, he is objectively an obstacle to us solving this case, but you know. Sorry, my bad if that came across as demeaning. The two of us, why are you lecturing me? I didn't say anything. Because I don't like or trust you. Well said, Miss Winters. I don't like or trust you either. Who the heck claps like that? What are you, a preschooler? Yeah, laugh it up, Miss Piggy. Oi! May I just give me the word and I'll lay this smarmy douche out on the floor, yeah? Tempting offer, but not right now, Diego. Alright, let me know. Oh, yeah. This guy who got put under by a teenage girl with a lace parasol. I like how you waited until he'd walked away before talking back. I like how you shut up. This scene is very busy and none of it matters. Nathan, please don't get involved with these people. You needn't worry. I've never met either of them. Hey, I'll try asking about something else. Let's try this again. Okay, I was under the impression this was going to be a private conversation. I'm not going to leave him with the two of you unattended. And I'm not leaving because I'm bored out of my skull. Alright. Silly of me to think otherwise. So, Mr. Montclair, I was wondering if you might tell me a little about yourself? Certainly. It would be my pleasure. I am a co-founder and CEO of Abzu Corporate Estates. It was a startup project that I undertook with my dear brother, 25 years ago now? Could maybe be 30 if his memory is that bad. Huh. I've actually heard of that company. They're pretty big, I think. Well, of course, he wouldn't be the head of a small company if he were important to a mystery story. It was 30 years ago, actually. What'd I tell ya? Monty's got a habit of living 5 years in the past. Wonder what'd make him do that. Don't talk about him like he isn't standing right here. My bad. I don't very well understand what you're getting at, but anyway. Jameson passed on a few years ago. Heart attack. He was far too young. We're presently constructing a facility in his honor. So Jameson Memorial is less than 5 years old. That seems like it could potentially be important, but maybe not. And I basically already know the rest. He escaped the room and board, developed a drinking habit, and was admitted to his own hospice. He got attacked on the night of the murder, and that brings us to now. This is going to be useless, but I need to try. Mr. Montclair, are you aware of the murder that occurred at Jameson Memorial on the night of the 17th? Murder? What murder? Oh boy. You yourself were attacked as well. Do you have any recollection of this? If this conversation goes anywhere, I'll eat my hat. Now that you mention it, my head is killing me. Actually, Winters, shouldn't he have, like, bandages or something? He did. Guess they must have fallen off at some point. The wound's been healing well though, so he's not in any danger. But if you're not good with blood or that sort of thing, I wouldn't look at the back of his head if I were you. What? Got cut a little from blunt force. Can't be that bad. Oh my god, it's the bruising. I can't believe you people. Ah, the 17th, was it? You remembered something? Yes, I was at a charity dinner that night, so I'm afraid I won't be of much help. Alright. What about the beat you actually claim to remember? Mr. Montclair, you were involved in an incident 5 years ago. Would you be willing to tell me about it? An incident? Whoa, we're getting right into it, huh? Nathan, you don't need to answer anything you don't want to. Winters, do you know anything about it? No, I don't. It's clearly a painful memory for him, and I haven't tact to not ask about it. Speaking of which, is there a good reason why you're bringing it up? And you think she's the culprit? Come on, Mia, really? Am I the only one here taking this situation seriously? Why don't we all just take a breath? Blue was only asking a question. Thank you. That's not my name, but thank you. This incident you were referring to. It's Shiel's room and board, yes? Alright. Finally, the one thing we can actually reasonably expect him to answer. Don't get too excited. We asked him about the room and board during our investigation, too. He seems to remember the incident with surprising clarity, but he doesn't have any new info. Well, info that was new to us anyway. Knock yourself out, I guess. Oh, brother. She's got that investigative twinkle in her eye. She's got what? I'm not sticking around for this crap again. Winters, you better bounce too unless you have a thing for boring, muddled exposition. I feel like I almost never understand what that guy is talking about. I can't remember last time so well, so maybe take his word for it? Whatever. But I'll be watching, got it? I'm watching, Wazowski. Always watching. Alright, time to see what we can get out of this guy. Alright, now the important bit. So, you remember the room and board, Mr. Montclair? What do you mean, remember? Last I checked, the exit was still locked, Blue. So part of him does still live there. In the room and board. Is it because the actual doors to the courtroom are locked and he thinks I look like Blue? Or is it always like this for him? I think it might be best if I just play along. Sorry, Teddy. I've just been, confused lately? And the Oscar goes too. Well, that's hardly unreasonable, considering. I can't remember. How many days has it been? Maybe get some context? It's been 8, my dear Blue. At daybreak tomorrow... Damn it, I just want to wrap up this fucking conversation and end stream, good god. Why are you so fucking dog shit? Anyway, as I was in the process of saying, so now we know Blue didn't make it. Probably she didn't make any friends during the game. But it's an opening. Now, what should I ask him about? I've been conversing with Roland a great deal of late. She initiated without my asking, even though I'm the one who clicked the button. Weird. How did Blue act again? I don't want to break his immersion. She was abrasive and snarky, and she was only social with a few select people, I'm pretty sure. Okay, here we go. Yeah? What about? As I'm sure you're aware, he's been writing in that journal of his. He's been asking if there's anything I wish to include in its pages. For commentary, I suppose. He makes it sound like he's almost finished with his projects. Well, it's about time, right? Now, what's your point? I don't have any one in particular. I've been running low on engaging topics of conversation lately. There is scant little to do here but talk, and I dare say it's been running me thin. Well, was there anything you asked him to include? In Roland's journal, you mean? Well, no. I told him that I trusted him to have captured everything that was necessary. He did not let me get away so easily, however. How do you mean? Surely you know what I mean, Blue. You've spent the most time with him, after all. Ah, that's right. They did get pretty close, didn't they? No. He badgered me for my own thoughts. It was a surprisingly terrifying proposition. Terrifying? Have you thought at all about them? Doc and Salem? I realized then that I had not. I realized that I had been purposely preventing myself from thinking about those two. I believe that I did not want to admit that I am at least partially responsible for both of their deaths. So when Roland asked me for my perspective, I knew that I had to turn him down. So they were never able to find a way out of this. I know they lost one. But that's 3. They're most of the way there at that point. But as usual, he put that peculiar earnestness of his to use. Made me feel rather guilty, if I do say so. So I professed to him a preposterous proposition. Yeah, well, you're a penis. I told him that I would give my thoughts, but in return, he would give me his revolver. That does sound pretty preposterous. Indeed. But do you know what he did then? He gave it to me. He handed it to me. His key, as casually as if it were a morning paper. He just gave it to me. What? I didn't know about that. Why would he do something like that? I was rather hoping you would tell me. You know him better than I, after all. I don't know what runs through that boy's head. Keep an eye on him for me, would you, Blue? Well, if he gave you his key, I don't think there's much I can do to help the guy. Yes, well... Please, please don't tell Poppet about this, but I didn't take the gun. Why? It wouldn't have been right for me to have walked off with the thing. My thoughts were his key. That was the deal. And I couldn't give him my thoughts, so I couldn't have taken the key. That isn't how this game works, Teddy. I know that. I know. But this place takes things from you. Bits and pieces that you wouldn't even notice were missing until you went looking for them. Parts of you. Who you are. Your personality. Your humanity. And I am a businessman, and she'll be damned. And that may not be the most honorable profession in the world, but I have my pride. And this unfathomable game will not strip that from me. It will not. I can understand that. Choosing to abide by your own rules instead of his. I get it. Do you truly? Normally, this is where you chide me for holding such childish a notion as pride. You know I appreciate your unfiltered honesty, Blue. You don't need to hold back. Guess I'm just sick of all this crap, too. Turning some of that honesty inward, eh? That's a rare sight. I'll try not to make a habit of it. I think I'll renegotiate our deal. What were we just talking about? Naturally. I need to save face somehow. I am a businessman after all. Put in a good word for me, Roland, would you? Uh-huh. I'll get right on that. It went well. I don't know if any of that was useful, but it went well. Hey, maybe I'm not as bad at this acting thing as Tower says I am. Let's see what else I can dig up. Dear to God, we're still going. This Sheol asshole really has it coming to him. Perhaps there is something in this world equivalent to a karmic force. Or perhaps not. Regardless, surviving this trial is all we can do at the moment. What if he's pulling one over on us, though? What if he's here? What if he's one of us? Well, that's I would be lying if I said the thought had never crossed my mind. But I don't believe that he is. How can you be so sure? I can't, really. It's just a feeling I have. The people here feel too genuine, I suppose. Do you seriously think Shill would draw the line at acting lessons? Look around. I think his budget can handle it. Don't actually look around, though, please. You are right, of course. I think it's more that I don't want to think about that particular possibility. Because then I'd have to ask... how many are there? It would be useless and paranoid of me to dwell on it. Dead weight that I would be better off without. I know that I am legitimate. That will have to be good enough. Yep, you heard it here first, folks. Montclair's legit. He's super legit. He's too legit to quit. Well, he used to be, now he has amnesia, so he's not legit. He's not legit. So he's gotta quit. And what about Eric and Blue? Let's drop Eps. It isn't worth agonizing over. Not to you, maybe. God, why? Why, Nana? What did that accomplish, I ask of you? Setting Shield aside, what do you think of the others? Tomorrow is the big day, right? Anything's gonna happen. Tomorrow is the big day. Teddy? That doesn't make any sense. We've already... We can't be... This conversation... You aren't Blue, are you? Well, you said that I was. Which I guess is my excuse for lying to a mentally ill man. Real nice. But no, you couldn't be. By the 8th day, Roland, Blue, Eric, and Poppet Fireman and myself... the fighting had already broken out. There's no way we could be having this conversation. Yep. Doesn't matter how long we got along well at the time. In the end, humans are animals, slaves to their survival instincts. Do you know where you are right now, Mr. Montclair? I don't think so. Why am I having such a hard time remembering? Mr. Blue! Blue, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so sorry, Blue. Hey, it's alright. Blue, we were looking for you, Blue. The three of us. But we found Ace first, and I was so relieved that it wasn't you, Blue. You didn't. And I know I didn't change anything in the end, but what do I say? That's enough, I think. Winters. Give him some space, please. I'm sorry. I didn't. It's fine. Just go back to whatever you were doing before and leave him to me. He gets like this sometimes. It'll pass. Just go. Seriously. Oh. Okay. Good dog. Nathaniel Montclair. Your life didn't have to go this way. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry too. But I'm afraid this is where we're gonna have to leave off the stream. Nathaniel Montclair has amnesia, but there are 2 other guests here in our little killing game who don't. What we'll be able to learn from talking to them? That's the important question. Who are they? What is their story? Who killed Kurt Bishop? I forgot the guy's name for a second. What is the connection to S.H.I.E.L.D.? Who is S.H.I.E.L.D.? We have significantly more questions than answers. But if we want to find out, we're gonna have to wait until later. Gonna go check to see who we can raid. So, don't touch that dial, children. The way I figure, the culprit of the present-day murder probably isn't S.H.I.E.L.D. And S.H.I.E.L.D. probably isn't anybody we've considered a suspect thus far. Both of those points would make too much sense if we had this big interconnected point going. Anyway, we're gonna raid Shaughnessy TV. They're a robot cat, apparently. And they debuted pretty recently. So. And they're playing Civ 4. Civ 4, Civ 4. No, Civ 6. I can read Roman numerals. So. Until we arrive at yonder stream, please give good old Sean all the respect and dignity you've given me. Well, okay, better respect and dignity than Nana's given me. That got my head. And I will see all of you in the future. Goodbye.